This is Vegas Dave, and you're tuned in to Decoding Success.
Born in 92 on the block with the Sharks. Come from a different cloth, y'all would get ripped apart. You want it diamond, then you gotta get it in the dark. We dropping nuggets like Carmelo went to Rucker Park. Now we eating from state to state, we scrape the plate. I put my eggs in a basket, took a leap of faith. I took a chance, now we grow and see the impact. Decoding Success with special guests, now let's bring Matt.
Dave, welcome to the show, man. Excited to have you, excited to decode your success. So super grateful for this opportunity. Thank you for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. First question for you, same way we kick off every show. How does Dave personally define success?
Man, success for me is a lot of hard work. I mean, hard work. I work while other people are sleeping. You know, that's why I'm very successful. You know, I grind out not just hour, every minute, every second, every day, 4 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. Last 4 years, haven't taken a day off. And I'm not going to take a day off until I'm 60 or hit $1 billion. So whatever comes sooner. But there's a lot of things that define success, but hard work is the main principle for me.
I love that. Now, how do you find yourself doing that mindfully without causing any issues to your health? I'm just curious, with all this, chatter about mental health and whatnot, I'm curious.
I do yoga 3 times a week. That's probably the only time I leave my place in Vegas. I do yoga, so I do my stretching because I'm stuck at a computer all day. So I do my stretching and I do my meditation 3 times a week. That helps me. And right now I'm on a crazy diet. I think I've dropped 20 pounds in 22 days. It's all 0 carbs. And people are like, how can you do 0 carbs? Just mindset. I have a powerful mindset. How can I work relentless hours? How can I go 0 carbs? It's mind over matter. You have 2 choices: open your mouth or keep your mouth shut. Or for working, go to sleep, hit the alarm, hit the snooze, or wake up. It's all about choices. And I choose to do what is going to benefit me the most.
Now, is that keto or is it something different?
8CG diet. It's like 500 calories a day, 0 carbs. And then now I'm just adding a little bit of carbs now, but just 2 4-ounce meals of protein a day and a lot of liquid.
I love that, man. I love that. That's awesome stuff. Now, we know who Vegas Dave is now. We're going to get into some more of that. I'm curious to learn who Dave was in high school. The reason I ask is because I just want to go through your journey to see how you got from point A to where you are today, right? So who was Dave in high school? How did he define success back then? What did he want to do, et cetera?
I was a troublemaker, almost didn't graduate from high school because of my art teacher. I think I egged her house in high school, and I was just a problem child growing up. I was also an entrepreneur as well. I was buying and selling baseball cards at 13, 14 years old. And then I was renting tables and renting Holiday Inns and renting the tables for $40 a pop. I was living in Michigan at the time, so I had to hire Detroit Red Wings to sign autographs. So I was making money off the autographs, the tables, and I was in charging admissions fee. I was making, 3-4 grand a week as a 13, 14-year-old being an entrepreneur. I didn't like school, but they eventually passed me in high school, and I went to Michigan State, where I didn't last long at all.
I love that. Now, what was it that piqued your interest in sports? Did you play sports, or was it that you couldn't play sports so that you got on the other end of it?
I was very athletic growing up. I mean, my dad played soccer in Romania. I was actually top 10 player up to high school for soccer. I was very, very good. But then when I got to the high school levels, my priorities changed. I wanted to party. I wanted to meet girls. And at that time, the kids were so much bigger than me. I was always small. So when I got to high school, these kids were twice the size of me. Even though I had a very high skill set, I didn't have the strength. And that's what eventually got me into steroids, which was another part of my journey growing up, senior in high school through college.
I'm curious. I really resonate with what you just said about, you had the desire to party, meet girls, etc. I fell into the same exact thing. I played baseball here in New York City. I was playing under former New York Yankee World Series champion Alan Watson, and I tore my labrum. After that, I was like, you know what, I'm done. I got caught in that same trap, but I must say I have some regret, right? Like I do miss the game. Do you have any regret around that?
No, because what I'm doing right now, I make more money. I mean, I make too much. There's not a profession that I know that pays this kind of money, and I love what I do. So everything happens for a reason. I just think, like I said, everything happens for a reason. I grew up with a sports oriented mindset, played soccer, baseball, football, hockey. My parents got me into everything, and just came full circle as an adult.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. Now, going into college, did you go to UNLV, or am I mistaken?
No, I grew up in Ann Arbor, and my parents wanted me to get away from my circle of friends. So they sent me to Michigan State. I didn't last long at all. I got kicked out the first 3 months for throwing parties. I was running a business there. I'd throw keg parties, charge admission. I was always an entrepreneur. And
Right.
they kicked me out. They suspended me. They let me come back the following year. Then they kicked me out again. So they suspended me twice in the first 24 months and they said no more. So after that, my parents were pissed. They wanted me, my parents are immigrants. My dad from Romania, my mom's Japanese. They wanted me to get a college education. That's what they
Right.
wanted me. It was their dream to have a college education, but formal education wasn't for me. I was always flipping stuff, selling weed in high school, selling steroids in college, throwing parties. I was always an entrepreneur looking for the next quick flip.
What gave you that entrepreneurial bug?
I think baseball cards as a kid, 12 years
Yeah.
old, buy a card for $10, flip it for $60. I always had the vision. This rookie's going to be good. This player's going to be good. Buy the card for 20, sell it for 100 2 weeks later. So I always had that vision and it was quick money, easy money. It's better than shoveling snow like other kids were doing in the neighborhood.
Right, right. I was one of the kids shoveling snow. I collected cards. I loved them. I mean, listen, you talk about this vision. You got to tell me, do you have the vision of the Knicks or the Braves winning a championship anytime soon?
I like the Braves. I like the Braves a lot. Great pitching staff and I mean
Right.
young pitching staff, and they're going to get they got Freed. And what's the other guy's name that got hurt?
Soroka.
Yeah, Soroka. They're good, and Ian Anderson's good.
Yeah.
I like that, and I like that team. They did well with a depleted pitching staff in the playoffs last year. I like them a lot.
Yeah, man. I'm born in New York, but diehard Brave fan. I'm born in '92, so like, how could I not? I was growing up on Maddox, Glavine,
Dale
Smoltz.
Murphy.
Yeah, listen, my dad was a Met fan. I'm like, why are you rooting for the team that's losing? Root for the team that's winning. It was the Braves. So no, I just had to throw that in there. So all right, you started with baseball cards, or you started with cards in general, right? How did gambling, or betting, I should say, come about?
Well, I love sports. After I got kicked out of Michigan State, I moved to Hawaii. That's where my mom's from. So I moved out there not knowing anybody. And out there, I met some people out there that told me you could gamble on sports. And I had no idea. And I was like, well, what a perfect match. I love sports and you can make money off it. And of course I lost, but that's how I got introduced to it. But then I had a vision and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to beat the sports book. So after a couple of years, I told my parents I was going to go to UNLV to go. I was ready for college to make them happy, but that was just a lie, just so I could move closer to the casinos. I actually took a student loan out from UNLV for $10,000. Didn't buy books or anything. Didn't even go to class. Took the whole $10,000, cashed it out at the Palms Hotel, because back then you could cash your checks at the hotels. And I put the whole 10,000 on red. I don't know why I did that. I haven't played roulette since. It hit. It flipped to 20 grand. Dropped out of college that day, and that's where the journey began for Vegas Dave. That was my bankroll.
Right. So that's what I read. That's what I read about you. I appreciate the clarity on that. Now, when was it that you realized what you were doing with betting could become something? Was it in that moment when you were playing roulette?
No, roulette was just a one-time thing. I don't know. It's just a spur of the moment. I'm very go by gut intuition. But then I never played roulette since. I don't play the game slots. And so it's really odd that God or my guardian angels had me do that. It's crazy. But there's always been sports. I had some big wins early, so I knew I could win. But then I think the epiphany is when I went to Gamblers Anonymous. I lost all my money and I was sitting in Gamblers Anonymous checking scorers, and I was like, man, I would have won again. I'm like, man, I would have won again, because I wasn't betting for those 2 weeks in Gamblers Anonymous. And I'd win 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5. I was like, if I'm picking numbers at these rates, why am I losing money? And I realized I didn't have a skill level, a skill problem. I had a money management problem. I had a discipline problem. And that's why the casinos are so rich, because people chase their losses and they can't manage their money. Because in sports betting, it's 50% skill, a little bit of luck, and 50% money management discipline. And if you can't manage your money, you're going to go broke.
Yeah, talk to me about the mindset behind it. Like it's a science more than anything. I mean, I know people do it for fun. I've done it every now and then. I was a big Kobe Bryant fan. I would just say, for the fuck of it, here's however much on Kobe tonight. Like that's just how I did it. But it's actually a skill when you get to your level, and there's probably no one on your level right now in regards to this. So I'm curious, like, what's the science behind it? What's the mindset behind it?
You mean the mindset? I can't, like, how I pick my games, or like what's your direct question?
More so along the lines of, number one, how do you manage risk? So like how do you control yourself, pretty much?
Well, first of all, I'm no longer a bettor. I've been banned.
Right.
I have a federal a ban against me to placing bets because I won so much money. We can talk about that as well. So I'm a consultant, so I tell people how to bet. See, I teach money management in all my emails because I was a loser. I know what it's like to hit rock bottom. I know what it's like to win 5 days in a row and be up $1 million and lose it all in one game because I couldn't manage my money. So I can relate to my clients because I was a loser and I was average at 1.2. So I teach money management. People understand that this is a business. It's not a hobby. And if you're trying to win money every single day, you're going to get busted. So you have to treat this like, an investment. People put money in a 401k IRA because they're trained by society to do that. They put X amount every month and they don't even pay attention to it. And they hope that $10,000 investment goes to 40 grand in 10, 15 years. Yet in sports betting, they want to bet 10 grand and win 20 grand in 3 hours. The mindset's different. So I have to educate my players that you have to treat this like an investment in your portfolio.
I was just going to say that's super relatable to stocks or options or something of that nature. You bring up losses a few times. What is your biggest takeaway from your losses?
That I don't lose, that I win, because I realize why I lost that game. So every time I lose, I gain knowledge from it. And I go back and watch the game and I realize what I did wrong. And so that's why my winning streaks sometimes have gone up to 29 in a row, 35 in a row. I've done some crazy streaks for my players, but every loss is a win for me. So I don't lose.
How did you get into that mindset of understanding that there is a lesson embedded within a loss, which gives you the win, as you're saying?
Because I'm open-minded and I want to learn. I always want to be the best, and you're never gonna be the best unless you're always improving and growing. And if I lost that game, I need to know why I lost that game. People paid me $1,000 for a pick. You have to understand that. No one else charges. People came in and sell their picks for $40 a month. I sell one pick for $1,000. So I need to understand and make sure and learn why that pick lost. I'm a student of the game every day as well.
I love that. I love that. Now talk to me about the ban from Vegas. What happened with that?
Yeah, so I was a professional loser for a while, and then I broke the code. I realized that money's in the futures bets. 5, 6 years ago, they would take any bet on a future. A future means you bet an X amount on a team to win the World Series or Super Bowl 5, 6 months later, and they would take those bets because most people don't have the patience. Gamblers want money today; they want to get paid yesterday. No one has the patience to put a bet down and wait 5, 6 months for, like the Braves, bet them in the week 1 and hope them to win the World Series and get that big payout. Well, I did that with the Ravens to win the Super Bowl at 25-1 odds. That year they beat the 49ers, and I put 8,000 and win 200,000, which was a big chunk of change for me back then. And then that following year, I bet the Red Sox at the All-Star break to win the World Series, 30 grand and win 300. Then I realized I have something. Then 2015 is what put me on the map. I bet over 100,000 on the Kansas City Royals doing the World Series in week 1. They haven't won a World Series in 30 years. They were 30-1 odds. Like, no one believed in them. And I put 100,000 and they won. It paid me $2.5 million. That's the biggest pay in the history of sports betting. And before that season ended, I bet the Broncos in preseason with Manning to win the Super Bowl at 16 and 18-1 odds. That paid 2.3 million. So back to back, I hit 4.8 million. Then I had Ronda Rousey to lose to Holly Holm. And then I flipped on Holly Holm and took Miesha Tate to beat Holly Holm. So those are two big underdogs as well. So I went like in a $10 million run in 6 months, and that's when the casinos cut me off.
Wow. So I have to ask, like, you're talking big money here. You're putting big money down. Like,
it's never been done before on futures.
How is there, like, I'm just trying to understand you. Like, was there no pressure on you? Like, what happens? Like, you're going into this. And maybe you might say, Matt, well, listen, I've learned my lesson. I don't bet everything I have. Like, do you not feel the pressure? Like, my heart would be fucking racing this entire game.
It was exciting, but I'm fearless. Anytime I put money down, I believe I'm going to win. There's not anything in my head that goes, what if this doesn't win? I believe everything I do is going to happen. And then I didn't tell the world I bet the Royals until after I got all the bets in myself, because the line dropped from 30-1 to 25-1 to 15-10, and they went to the favorite at 4-1 after I announced it to the world and everyone started betting it. But I could have hedged in the playoffs. I could have hedged and I could have took a guaranteed, a little over $1 million guaranteed, but I wanted to ride it out because I really believed they would win the World Series. I mean, they were there a year before. They had Gordon on third, the tying run. Perez popped out. They were 1 out away from a game 7. And people will understand that. And to get them at 30-1 odds, come on, that's value. And when I see value, or when I see the sports book fuck up like they did, I attack.
Right. I love it. I love it. And I love how you're continuously betting on yourself, right? Like through it all, always betting on yourself. So with someone listening to this, what would be your advice to them to continue to bet on themselves or at least start building that muscle?
You got, I mean, it's in your DNA. I mean, if you're a pussy, you're a pussy. And if you're a boss, you're a boss. You know, you can't take someone that's timid, that plays life on defense every time to become an offensive person. I mean, that's in your DNA. You can have them improve, but a lot of people in this world play not to they play not to lose. You know,
Mhm.
they just are very soft. They're afraid. They're afraid. Where I'm aggressive. I played a win. They're on defense. I'm on offense. I always tell people in business, you know, most people watching this right now, their worst nightmare is to lose their job. My worst nightmare is to get a fucking job. And
Mm.
that's the difference between financial freedom and job security, is that where people biggest nightmare is to lose their job. I mean, I'd shoot myself. I had to get a job. It's all mindset. So you need to be able to take risk, and risk is the down payment for success, but most people don't have it. You need balls and vision to make it in this world. And either people lack the balls or they lack the vision.
Right. Now, is there any balance between the offense and the defense? Like, do you find yourself going on defense sometimes, or are you just like strictly go, 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 go?
I call audibles where I can back up a little bit. You know,
Right.
I'm like a quarterback. I can audible, I can shift, you know, I can pivot, which is what I did, you know, when they shut me down from sports betting. And they not only did they not pay me on some of the money, they sent the feds after me. They indicted me on 19 alleged felony accounts, saying I was using fake social security numbers to open up sports accounts, which is crazy because everyone knows who I am when I go and
Mm.
bet hundreds of thousands of dollars a day. After 3 years, I had the 19 felonies and the 40-year prison term was dropped to 0 and 0. They just said I couldn't bet no more. So what was I going to do? You know, I wasn't going to get a job where my goal was to make 100,000 a month as a sports bettor, a professional sports bettor. I then pivoted to be a sports consultant where I sell picks. And now I'm making what, 2-3 million a month. A bad day is 100,000 a month, 100,000 a day, 100,000 a day. So it was a blessing in disguise that the casino shut me down. It was a blessing that they banned me. It was a blessing the feds came after me because it made me pivot and adjust. And I didn't give up. You know, I could have, most people when they're facing 40 years in prison, drugs, alcohol, depression, I built an empire.
Right. I love that, man. I love that. And I love that what you do is aligned with your passion. You know, it's very evident just from the, the energy you give off as you talk about it. And obviously we're seeing something new pop up, and maybe it's not even new. But sports cards are back. How do you feel about this?
It's gonna collapse. You know, sports
You
cards are
think
back.
so?
I know. So I just made a video on YouTube. Vegas State versus Gary V. Gary V is gonna be wrong. All the market's gonna collapse by the end of 2024. And I made a video why, because all these investors from Wall Street are coming over and they're buying cards for $500,000 and they're selling shares of it, 10 shares at, you know, $100,000 a piece. And that's why people can now own a share of a card, which they can never afford before, makes the card double in value. It's just inflated values. You see the
Mhm.
Michael Jordan card go from 30 grand to 250 grand to $700,000 in 30 days. You see a Steph Curry rookie go from 30K 2 years ago, didn't play last year, shoot up to $1 million. It's all inflated. People are inflating and manipulating the market. And once one of these big investors pull out, domino effect, this whole shit's going to crash big time.
Right.
I know that for sure. It's going to collapse the market.
People don't want to hear that though, because
Yeah,
a lot of people are buying in.
Yeah, they hate me for that, but I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to share my vision. Remember, vision is seen with the brain, not the eyes. All these sheep see the cars going up from 1,000 to 50,000, 200,000 to 1,000,000. They have
Right.
no vision. That they should be terrified. They should be
Right.
happy and sell, because this shit's not going to sustain. It's going to collapse hard. But people have no vision. They only see with the eyes. They have no vision in the brain.
Well, what do you feel like is next for sports? Like, do you feel like it's memorabilia? Like, I mean, you have some helmets behind you, like game used stuff. Whatever happened to game used stuff?
I don't like that stuff. I just have helmets because just for stuff in my office, you know. So
Right,
I'm
right.
not big in memorabilia at all. Sports cards are hot right now. They'll be hot for a little bit longer as well. You know, I predicted the collapse would happen by the end of 2024. There's money to be made. There's big people getting involved. But remember, what goes up must come down. And I've been in this. People think I just got lucky. I came in the sports card business 3 years ago and made millions. No, I've been doing this since I was 16. I know how the market works. You know, no one. I mean, I was the person 3 years ago to predict the market would boom. And I made that video. This card for 400,000 will break the Honus Wagner record. Everyone laughed at me, talked shit. You bought a piece of cardboard, you're a loser over a house. And what did I do? 2 years later, I executed my vision, sold for 4 million. It broke the Honus Wagner record. No one's ever going to do a $3.6 million flip ever in the history of cards. I was the one that told the world it was going to pop and go off. And I'm the first one in the world to tell the world's going to collapse, the market's going to collapse. And I'll be right about that too.
Have you had a debate with Gary about this yet or no?
Gary doesn't want to argue with me because he knows I'm right. Gary's a brilliant man. I'm a brilliant man. What's Gary do? Make a video that the market's going to stay like this? Gary's smart. He knows it's
Yeah.
going to collapse, but Gary's pumping the card so high that he can't all of a sudden be like, sell. It's going to hurt his brand, but he knows and I know that I'm right.
Right. I love it, man. I love it. What's a question you wish more people would ask you? I know you've done shows. I know you've been on Brad's show and whatnot. You probably have 1,000,001 people asking you questions on social media. What is a question you wish more people would ask you, and how would you answer it? It could be about anything.
Yeah.
What if-
What's your why? People like, what drives you? You're like a machine. Like my ex-girlfriend, she's like, I dated athletes. I dated other high profile players, people, but no one works like you. You literally will wake up at 4 and work to 11 and not talk to me. Like, why? And one was motivation to buy my parents their dream house, which I did because, my parents gave me everything growing up. So for me to buy them, a $4 million house cash was a big accomplishment in life. But I know God gifted me, God, I wasn't born on this earth to have a wife. I'm not to have children. I'm here to make money and inspire other people to make money and inspire people to never give up. Because I fucked up until I was 40. I'm 44. I fucked up. I was a millionaire a dozen times before 30 years old and lost it all 12 times. I fucked up. So I want to be able to teach people that, it's never too late. Now I'm super wealthy and I didn't change my life till I was 40. But my why was my parents, and my why was that I wanted to be the best in the world at what I do. And my why was I want to be inspirational and teach the younger generations not to make the same mistakes I did, so they can accomplish their goals and visions at a faster pace than I did.
Dave, I need to know what it felt like to actually buy your parents that home. A few buddies of mine, we were actually just talking about it. We have, these, what's it called? Bucket list. Bucket list to, send your parents on this vacation, to do this for your parents. I really resonate with what you just said. How good does that feel?
It was great. I bought the house 17 months ago. It was 2.6 million. They were, they're simple people, but I didn't like the way it looked. So I did over $1 million renovation. It took a year and it's beautiful. It felt great. And they just told me yesterday, they're like, man, thank you so much. Like they're living like kings and queens. And yet my parents are very simple. My dad was broke his whole life. He grew up in Romania. He had a loaf of bread a day. That's all he could afford. So it felt really good to take care of the people that believed in me. Because I feel in this generation, most people don't respect their mother and father anymore. That they don't have values. I still, I choose to live with my parents. This is a 8,000 square foot home, but I choose to live with them. Why? Because I love them. Most people don't understand that, but I'm not here to have people understand me. It keeps me grounded, and to be around the people every single day that believed in me is special to me. And I felt great. It was a great,
Right.
biggest accomplishment in my life.
Now, you brought up God a few times. I'm curious, how did you keep your faith in God through the turbulent times of losing money and whatnot?
A lot of prayer, especially through my federal case. You don't know if you're going to go to jail for 40 years or if I'm going to walk out alive. I pray. That's why the indictment was the best thing that ever happened to me, besides the financial reasons. But I had a better relationship with my parents because I realized who are the people that stick by me when everyone's calling me a criminal on the internet. And God, you learn to pray a lot. I tell people you can eat 3 meals a day. You should be able to give thanks 3 times a day. So I'm big on prayer. I pray every morning, every day, and every night out of gratitude. But during that time is when I prayed for my freedom. And I really believe I've God and 2 guardian angels that look over me, because shit just always ends up going my way at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love that. I literally, and I resonate with that super highly, which is why I asked. I have "In God I Trust" tattooed across my chest. But, me at 28 years old right now, sometimes the turbulent times are like, yo, why is God against me and whatnot? That's why I had to ask that, because, listen, it's just reality. So I appreciate your share and your advice there. And the power of prayer is huge, man. That's huge. So I definitely appreciate that. Awesome. What do you feel like is a piece of advice that you were given that you didn't want to hear at the time it was given to you, but proved to be true over time?
My dad, save money. You need money to make money. I made millions and blew it all. Part of it was my marketing, which people understand, which worked out for me, the marketing, the content. But, it's not how much money you make, it's how much you save and how much you invest. And that's why now I'm super wealthy. I'm investing in real estate. I'm buying land. I'm building villas. I have rentals. So I'm smart with my money. So if I would have just listened to my immigrant father 10, 15 years ago, I don't know if I'd had more money. I think I had to hit rock bottom and lose it a dozen times before I realized, it takes money to make money. It's all about what you save and invest in, not how much you make.
I love that. I apologize for the puppy that's behind me, just walking up and down the stairs over here. Uh, that's the reality of working from home right now. I definitely appreciate that. I want to try and extract maybe like there was another lesson embedded with. I know you said you kind of like got shit together at 40, right? Over the course of like losing it over and over and over and over again. They always say like lessons keep popping up until you finally grasp it. What do you feel like was that main lesson that you had to take away for you to finally say like, all right, fuck, like I got it now?
Changing. I mean, it was just a lot of things it was choices. Everything comes down to choices. I tell people if you're watching this right now, your life is predicated on the choices you make. Everything, if you're in a good financial spot or you're in a good relationship versus a bad financial spot or a bad relationship, it's your choices. You either choose to stay with that bum or you choose to stay that shitty job or you choose to move forward. Everything's predicated on the choices you make. And I changed, I stopped going to nightclubs. I stopped partying. I stopped coming home at 4 a.m. I got rid of all my loser friends that hung out in the nightclubs. And I started hanging out with not that many people because, you try to hang around people that can elevate you. And to be honest, there's not many people that make $1 million a week like me, so it's very hard. So my circle of friends got smaller, but my bank account got bigger, and I really stopped giving a fuck what other people thought about me. And I always never really cared, but now I really don't give a fuck what people think about me because every day people talk about me. Every day, if I lose a game, I'm a fraud, I'm a scam, I'm a crook, whatever it is. But I love that because haters are just confused admirers. And the day people stop talking about me and bashing me every day means I'm no longer rich and I'm no longer relevant. So it's all about building the brand. People love me or hate me. There's no one's like, oh, Vegas Dave, he's cool. They're like, I either love that motherfucker or I hate that piece of shit. But either way, they're watching my shit and they're just confused admirers. It just builds a brand, powerful brand.
Right. And I think what you're saying here is so powerful because we can get so caught up in comparison and things of that nature, what people say about us, what people are going to think about us, can even create some sort of anxiety, social anxiety. Do I fit in here? I mean, listen, that's primal, right? We want to be able to fit in. What's your advice in actually getting to a place where you actually no longer care what people think about you and you just start belonging because you believe in yourself?
When people realize that all these fake friends you have, when you die, they're not coming to your funeral. And most of these people aren't coming to your wedding when you get married. You only have 5 or 6 ride or dies if you're lucky. I lose friends every year over money, because people always want to steal from me. They're like, he makes so much money, I can fuck him over, so it's fucked up now that every single thing I do must have a contract. Triple I's looked over it. You can't trust anyone, so it's like life's crazy right now for me. Everyone has an angle to get to me and they validate stealing because you're successful. So you have to stop giving a fuck what other people think and realize that these people don't care about you. At the end of the day, you'll only have a couple of good friends. So keep those people close. Like my good friends that I had that stuck me from day one, they'll never be hungry. They'll always have food on their plate and they'll always have a roof over their head. They lost everything. I'd buy them a condo for $200,000-$300,000. That's how loyal I am to my core friends.
Is there any way to identify who is healthy to be around from an early stage as opposed to finding out too late? From a relationship perspective.
Female or both male and female?
Both male and female, it doesn't matter.
I mean, if they complain, I tell people, man, that if you hang around 4 bums, you're the 5th. If 4 of your best friends smoke pot all night, you probably smoke pot all night. If 4 of your best friends plays Madden video games all night, guess what? You're probably the 5th. If your friends go to the bar 3 times a week, you're probably the 5th bum that goes three times a week to the bar. You are who you surround yourself with. If they're not making money, if they're not making moves, and that they're not elevating, if they're not being better than they were yesterday, they're not for you. But people don't like to be alone. And I tell people are like, oh, you're alone, you must be lonely. No, I like working in silence. True loneliness is being around the wrong people. People have it twisted. Oh, because you're alone, you must be lonely. No, you have it fucking twisted. The 4 bums you hang around with is true loneliness, because that's true loneliness, is hanging around the wrong people. Hanging around by yourself is way better for you. And it's not the true definition of loneliness. Being around the wrong people is the true definition of loneliness.
Correct. And what I've personally witnessed is people trying to change the people that they are around as opposed to actually changing the people they're around. If you get what I'm saying, kind of,
But people don't want People want to be liked and they can't be alone. That's why people stay in bad relationships.
Yeah.
They stay in it with a girl that cheats on them, or a girl stays with a guy that beats her up and cheats on them. Why? Because they don't want to be alone. Everyone settles on their self-worth, just like a job. You know, you have a job, you probably think you're worth $100,000 a year, but your boss says you're worth 40. So you take that $40,000 salary. It's all self-worth. It's all about how you feel about yourself. You have two choices. You can be the boss or have a boss.
Right.
I tell people I chose to be the boss.
What's your advice for people to start bolstering their self-worth? I mean, it's something that I'm personally working on, so your response could potentially be of great impact here. Yeah, I'm curious. You have any advice there?
You have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will believe in yourself. I mean, why do people spend $1,000 a pick for me every single day? Because I believe I'm going to win. If I'm like, hey, buy this pick, it might win. No one's going to buy shit, you know? But if I say, hey, buy this pick, click the link in the bio, let's go. This game's going to cash. My believability. I believe in myself. I win every day. No, but I believe in my heart I'm going to win that day. So if you can't believe in yourself, why would other people believe in yourself?
Exactly. No, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I also want to respect your time here, Dave. One last question for you. If you could only give one piece of advice the rest of your life, what would that be?
One piece of advice: go all in. Like, it ties in, I'll bet on yourself. You have one life. Right. Why do you choose to be average? Why do you choose? I mean, money doesn't have to be everything, but if this is a business podcast, why would you choose to work 9 to 5 for 40 years, for 40 hours a week, then retire, lose 40% of your 401k, and then die? Why? You got one life. Like, why? With technology nowadays, you can do anything. I run $1 million business off my phone, you know, and guess what? If you wake up one day and you have two choices, you can be average or you can be better than the day before. And the next morning, when the alarm goes off, you can hit snooze and be average or be better than the day before. And guess what? Every day, God's going to give you a new chance and a new opportunity, a new day to change your life. The choice is yours. Don't settle. You have one life. Why settle for mediocrity? Choose to be the best because you got one life.
That's it. I love it, man. I love it. Dave, I'm going to have all of your social links, websites, all that good stuff in the show notes of this episode. Do you have anything that we should amplify here, make people aware of while we have this opportunity?
I run everything up on Instagram. That's my major platform, just this Vegas Dave. I don't really use my website. I don't really check my Twitter or Facebook. Instagram, I'm heavy in.
Okay, cool, man. Definitely. Listen, Dave, I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity here. I'm grateful to amplify your message some more. It was a blast and definitely appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Born in 92 on the block with the Sharks. Come from a different cloth, y'all would get ripped apart. You want it diamond, then you gotta get it in the dark. We dropping nuggets like Carmelo with the